Part of the issue with founders is we hire based on what we feel about the person. And this person was a good fit when you're 10, but they're not a good fit when you're 50. I was 8 years old, I was selling cabbages. I don't know why you're laughing. Let me tell you, the profit margin on cabbages is insane. I think I was making a 75% profit margin. Your business is not a person. Your job is to protect it.
Hi from Future Yvonne. I've just sat in through this interview, which was actually, I think, about 2 hours long. And Ivy walked us through how you should be hiring and how that makes a difference in your bottom line and some of the really expensive mistakes that founders are making when it comes to the hiring and the people management process and how we can do better, because it's not our fault because nobody taught us. So sit down with a notebook, a pen, and you might need to listen to this once, twice, or maybe thrice because it's a whole masterclass. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Founder Diaries Season 3. If you've made it up until this far, I'm so grateful that you're here. And please take a moment to make sure that you've subscribed, because that helps us to keep going. I'm going to take a moment to shout out our location partner, which is Sarova Stanley. Thank you so much for hosting us here. They've made this podcast possible. On today's episode, we have been trying to get her since season 1, but the universe has been refusing to align. But I'm so glad she's here, because when I thought about this podcast, she's one of the guests that was top of mind for me, because she's one of those people who has transformed the way I do things in my business. And I'd say it has made a huge impact on my time and my bottom line as well. So welcome, Ivy. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate this. My name is Ivy. I am a business coach, and I work with founders to help them build scalable businesses that can become legacy businesses. Yes.
Wow. What does that mean practically?
Practically, what that means is I step into the role of becoming your co-founder in the time we work together to help you put in the right systems, to help you learn to hire the right people, to help you build a business that is capable of running without you. That's step one. And then that's capable of growing far beyond your own sort of, shall I say, limitations, because you're one person. And something that you can be able to pass on to, say, the next person, or something that you can be able to sell along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is technically a business, right?
Yes.
What you're doing is a business.
Yeah.
And what
yes.
we've learned and seen about a lot of other founders, everyone started like a hustle, like really early on, like
Yes.
when they're 16, 18.
Yes.
So I'm really curious to hear, what was Ivy's first
Hustle.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, I was selling cabbages. I don't know why you're laughing. Let me tell you, the profit margin on cabbages is insane. I think I was
Solid.
making a 75% profit margin.
So where were you buying these cabbages?
My dad's farm.
And you were taking or you were buying?
No, I wasn't taking. You know, I was terrible at school. I was like always number 29 out of 30. So my parents were like,
Hard to believe.
since we have one of those kids who's not going to amount to much, let's
utilize her.
let's utilize her. Let's train her with other skills so that she can survive and not be a liability when she's older. So, so the guy used to be like, on weekends, he would take me to his farm. We park some cabbages. I come back home and I sell them outside the house. Yes.
To passers-by.
Yes, and I became so good at it because I knew the cabbages couldn't last beyond a day.
Yeah.
So I became so good at it. I learned how to what is it called? I learned how to engage customers, adults, to get them to buy. So I used to have offers like buy one get half.
Free.
Yeah. Imagine, like, to sell those cabbages. And then I would set a time, and I'm like, if this, by the time it's 5 o'clock, these cabbages are going at 20% off, 30% off, up until the last cabbage in the evening. And yes, and I made quite a bit of money. Now, the problem was my dad is very smart. He'd take the money to keep it for me after all that work, and I never saw it. But that was my first real business, and it taught me how to sell. Which I think is the most important skill any founder can have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other hustles that came later?
Yes, several failed businesses. There was a time I bought a salon and I decided, this should be easy money.
How
big
old were you?
mistake. Yes, no, it was me and my husband. Before we got married, we decided we were going to test our relationship by investing in something, right? Bad idea. And we decided a salon was the way forward. And that's when I began to understand the issue of fit. Salons are informal in nature. Our training was formal and corporate. So already we didn't understand how things work in that particular field, how employees work, how customers work, how pricing works. We just went in fully blind with money that we didn't know what to do with. And it was the most humbling, character developing experience we've ever had because we were so out of depth, but we kept holding on to it for a really long time, despite the fact that it was a loss making business that we're carrying on our backs. That was a fantastic experience of learning that not every founder should open a business, but number two, you should find a business that is linked to your actual capability and your skill.
Yeah.
Don't go open something that you have no business understanding, that you have no experience running yourself, something you yourself cannot master, because you should only be able to run a business that you're able to master and then delegate. If you can't master it, you're going to have a really tough time, unless, of course, you're an investor, at which point then that changes because you're just putting money in and you're getting a return on investment. You're not involved in the day-to-day operations, and as such, it's a different ball game. But if you're going to open a business that you are going to run, you need to make sure it's something that you yourself have a full capability of running on your own before being able to build it into something else.
So I'm curious to hear more about the salon story.
Oh
How
my
did you
gosh.
stumble across a salon? How did you decide, okay, we're buying this salon? How much did you buy it for? And what kind of losses were you making? And what was the breaking point that was like, you know what, we're done? And did you then sell it at that point? Or then what happened to it? Or it closed?
So we had some money lying around and we're like, we should invest. And we didn't want to invest in the typical fixed deposits because the interest was not attractive enough, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes greed is a bad thing. And so we went around looking for businesses. Each one of us had a deal. You come up with your business, I come up with my business. We pitched to each other. So him being an architect, he went and found a house in Lamu. And he was like, this is the one to buy. And we went to Lamu to test it out. And the first morning, we woke up to about 30 mosques going off at between 4:45 a.m. to 5:30 a.m.
It was a good idea to test first.
Yes, and I was like, I don't think this is the way.
But you see, the thing is, guests will only know once they get there. They won't know before.
You see, but now think about it. First of all, Lamu is extremely difficult to get to in comparison to the Diani, Mombasa, and Watamu areas. Secondly, it's the kind of place where the people who tend to appreciate it, unfortunately, are mostly foreigners. So if you are looking at an Airbnb, how often would you say you would be able to guarantee occupancy for it to begin to pay back? So when we did the numbers, we asked a few friends who had homes there, and we found out they were having an occupancy of 30% per year.
It's not great.
It's not great if you are buying it and then also adding an additional mortgage to keep financing it. It would mean that you'd fund it off your pocket. So that didn't make sense from a business perspective. So then in my infinite wisdom, I went around and found a salon, a lady who was looking to sell a salon, and she showed me this fantastic numbers, and I was sold. I didn't do any due diligence.
Do you remember what her revenues looked like?
Yes, they were about 350 per month.
Okay. And how much was she selling for?
She was selling for about 2 million.
Okay.
So we were ready to purchase that. Then someone bought it before us. So she said, I can recommend you to another salon that has the same thing. Here are the numbers. This salon was in Westlands, and they were selling it for about 1.8 million, and the revenues were about 250,000 a month.
Okay. Do you remember the profit? Or you didn't look at the profit?
I'm telling you, ignorance is a real disease. I just saw 250 and I was like, wait, hey, 250. Yeah. So we went in with a capital injection. We bought it for that 1.8. Then we spent another 1 million trying to reset it up, doing the interior design, all those things. And bam, we started trying to stuff it. Now, there's something very interesting about the salon world. these guys know they shift a lot. The turnover in the salons industry is almost 100% because they're always looking for where they can make more money, because they know that they can promise you that they'll come with clients and you'll buy it. I mean, how do you verify? How do you verify that I have 50 recurring clients? You can't. You'll just trust me. So we did. First batch of employees promised us gold. They delivered nothing. So that is when we began to realize something wasn't quite right. So we started in the business, and in 3 months we had set up the business. We had a new team, but at the end of that third month, we were at a loss. So we're like, okay, maybe it's because we've just started the business. Let's give it a bit of time, see whether it will pick up, because, of course, we've not advertised, not told people we're here. Clearly, we just found every reason to justify why those numbers were very much in the red. So month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7, still same thing. You're changing people, you're bringing new managers, you're bringing new teams. Something is not working. The numbers are not improving, right? And you have to remember the other thing that was problematic was that my husband and I still had full-time jobs. So we were not there on a day-to-day basis. And the salon industry is predominantly a cash-based industry, which means that you could be making money, but because you're not there,
You won't know.
you won't know. It took us a really long time to discover that the people who were working with us were stealing from us.
Oh, no.
And still we stuck through it because now we had gotten attached to the people we were working with. We, they were our day ones. We didn't want to let them down, so we kept pumping money in. The breaking point came just after we got married, and we were driving from Naivasha back to Nairobi. And on my Mahio, there's a little a little church in the middle of my Mahio, very old church, that for some reason we stopped at, and we were fighting because my husband was just tired of throwing money at the business. We had to pay service charge, we had to pay rent, it was just us paying, continuously forking out money because we were not making enough to even break even. And he was like, I've had it, I'm pulling the plug. And I was like, no, you know what? You don't believe in the business, again, naivety and, being attached to something that should not be an emotional decision.
Yeah.
And it became a very difficult discussion, but probably one of the best discussions and most honest discussions I've had, where it became apparent that this business was never going to make the money. It just wasn't. We did not have the capability to sit there day in, day out to see what customers were coming in. We were not capable of running the business. And that's what the salon business required. It requires you to sit there or to spend so much time training people who you trust. As in, it's a lot of work. You cannot not be a part of day-to-day operations, right? And we made the unfortunate decision to let go of the business. And so what happened? We just let it get auctioned. And that was the end of that. And that was one of the most painful experiences we went through, but fantastic lessons. First of all, it became very clear to me that a business is not a person. A business is an entity. And your job as the founder and the CEO is to defend it for it to survive, because everybody who benefits from that business, every employee, every customer, even you as the founder, you'll only benefit from it if you're able to keep the lights on. So you have to make the hard decisions, even when you don't feel like it, even when they're hard, even when emotionally they're taxing, because of course, not many of us like firing people. But the business cannot defend itself. It is your job to protect it. It's your job to protect it from people who are in the wrong position, people who are here to take advantage, people who are not qualified to sit in the seats they're in. It is your job to protect the business, because that's the only way everybody will keep benefiting. And that lesson pretty much began my transition into growing and understanding how founders think and how businesses are run. And it really helped shape my understanding of what it takes to build a successful business that you can scale and that can last the test of time. Yeah.
One of the podcast partners that has made this podcast possible is Sarova. The Sarua Panafric location is ideal for that perfect staycation because I know every founder could use a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect. So make sure to visit them and book your staycation and tell them we sent you. So walk us back to Ivy's just finished high school.
Yeah. Just don't know how old I am. I had to do my math high school.
So how did you get here? So walk us through the journey of what did you do after high school? Where did you go for uni? What was your first job? And all the different steps have led you up until this point of where you are.
Okay. So I was actually I was born in Kenya, but I was raised in the United Kingdom. And so my first job was working in a supermarket in the cold meat section. My job was to take out meat from the freezer. And
how old are you?
I was 16, right? I had gotten tired of asking my parents for pocket money. And, Kenyan parents are like, we don't have money, don't have money. So I went and got a job. And my dad, I remember when I got it, my dad was so triggered. He was like, what is this? We brought you all the way to the United Kingdom for you to throw your life away. You're not focusing on school. But that experience at starting to work at 16 taught me a discipline that I'm still benefiting off now. Because first of all, you are coming in, you had to show up for work without fail, without excuse. And remember, I'm in school, so I finished school at 5. I go home, change, get the bus, go to the supermarket and work until 9. Come back home, do my homework, sleep, wake up, go to school, do it again. So that was the best experience of, first of all, learning discipline, then also understanding how to multitask and also understanding my capabilities because I was able to balance a lot of things all at once. It also gave me the ability to have my own money and have financial discipline because I was now earning a certain amount of money. First month, I think I blew it on I can't even tell you. All I know is that me and my friends were partying every month. And, my dad was like...
Living the good life.
Yeah, we were like, we've made it. You have no costs, you have no expenses, and you're making money. So I thought, you know what, this is what life is about. So soft life was working for me.
You were making?
Yes, I was making £200 a week, bro.
Wow.
Yes.
It's like 100K a month.
£200 a week is about...
It's like times 4,
Yeah.
£800.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Me, no expenses.
16-year-olds.
Oh my gosh. I was like, dude, what do you want to do today? You want to go? Let's go. You want to do? God, I got you. My friends knew I was the plug for anything.
Money bags.
My mom was like, at this rate, we're going to have a very destructive human being. So she started charging me rent for my room.
How much was it?
She charged me 600 of the 800 I was earning. Let's just say things changed, right? And just to prove that she was serious, she would lock my room.
What rent was due on the 1st or the 5th?
She knew when I was getting paid. So she goes, I know you're getting paid on the 25th, and I know between 25th and 30th you'll be broke. So 26th, I need my money.
Where's my rent? I love that.
Fantastic lesson. Probably something I will never stop being grateful for. It really helped me navigate through a lot of things from then on, because now I had that. And then progressively, I went to university. University, I studied law because I was obsessed with Judge Judy. And I really liked that lady with her mallet. And I was like, this is power. This is women empowerment on steroids. I see my life like this. Went, did my university degree in law. And then something detrimental happened somewhere there where I lost my best friend on the first year of university. She unfortunately got murdered. And
I'm so sorry.
My law degree moved from theory to practical.
Yeah.
Because now I had to get involved in the criminal proceedings. I became a witness, and
you were there when she got murdered?
No, I was talking to her on the phone, and then I became a critical witness because we knew who killed her.
Yeah.
Right? And so we became key witnesses. And that process really affected my love for the law, because in the United Kingdom, when you are convicted of a crime, the maximum you can be convicted for is life, which is about 25 years. And in my mind, my friend's life was not worth 25 years. So I got thoroughly disillusioned in my first year of university. But my parents wouldn't allow me to drop out. You know how African parents are. No, no, no. I've told everybody you're a lawyer. What nonsense are you changing? To go where? To do what?
To sell cabbages.
Go back to school. Funny enough, that child that they considered not so great in when I was young, the 29 out of 30 student who was always at the bottom of her class. When I went to the United Kingdom, I became number 2. So environment is a really, and this is something maybe parents can consider. If you have a child and they're not performing well perpetually, it could be the environment, it could be the system, it could be how their brain works. Because the same student who was at the bottom was suddenly at the top of the class.
Yeah.
Right? And it was a shift in environment, it was a shift in curriculum that really helped me unleash a side of me that I never knew. I didn't think I was intelligent up until that point. Right? I just thought, look, dude, that there are some people who have the brains and there's some people who don't. Clearly, I fall on the last one. So anyway, I finished my law degree, and then I came and did my internship in Kenya because I had this unquenchable need to come back home, right? Nikajituma, let me tell you. The United Kingdom is different. When you are studying and you go apply for a job, you tend to get jobs because of merit. That's not how it was for me when I came back to Kenya. It was about who do you know or what are you willing to do to get the job. And so that really worked against me. I found myself struggling. I really struggled to get my first job when I came back. I remember doing all manner of jobs. My first proper job was I became a journalist in NTV, started as an intern, worked my way to TV journalist.
I think we're going to try and look for that clip.
I don't know whether they're still there. It's been over
on
7
YouTube,
years.
Yeah.
Then after that, I ended up getting a sales job, business development. And it was a really, really hard time to settle in until somewhere along the line, I decided I was going to pivot into human resources.
Now, wait, you've skipped so much, Ivy.
Oh.
You didn't tell us how you stopped doing journalism.
There's a story that I did that put me in crosshairs with the wrong people. So my mom called me in tears and she's like, you need to quit. And she paid for a ticket for me to go to the United Kingdom and she's like, I need you to come back. Like there was an article that was written about how I also could be possibly related to the first family. So things became a little bit tense in my household because my mom just started feeling like I'm not safe. And remember, everybody is in the United Kingdom and I'm here alone. Yeah. So she started feeling...
You're not safe.
Yes.
But to be clear, you're not.
I don't know.
Not
I
that
didn't
you
exploit,
know of.
right?
Not that you know of.
Not that I felt safe. But you see also when you're in your 20s, you're reckless. So I didn't see the issue, but I respected my mom enough to take what she felt as valid, and I flew back to the United Kingdom, tried to resettle back and get a job on that side, couldn't fit in. So I came back again.
How old are you at this point?
I was 22.
Okay.
Right? Reckless, headstrong, stubborn.
Very audacious.
Very audacious. Determined to do something in my country. Because I felt like with all the experience and everything that I had learned, I had something to give back home. I just didn't know what. So I came back the second time and I started working my way up progressively. I told you I did any job that came my way. At some point I was a business development executive for a company that was selling medical insurance. Worked with them. Founder got sick. Business shut down. Lesson number 1. If your business is entirely dependent on you, it's not a business, you're self-employed. So that's when we learned that what I was working in, we were self-employed. My boss he was self-employed and he was employing people under him.
Yeah, just extensions of himself.
Yes, exactly. So when he got sick, because he was the one running everything, the business shut down. Very good lesson. The next jobs that I got were in HR. So what happened is I decided I wanted to do HR. I started seeing a pattern. businesses didn't have the right structure. Hiring was a problem. So I wanted to see whether I could solve either of those, because I felt that the success of a business is to have the right people and have the right structures. I just didn't know how to create that link. So I then set myself on a journey where I spent the next 10,000 hours teaching myself HR, because I couldn't afford to go to school. I was broke, too proud to tell my parents I need the help. So me, YouTube and Udemy and Allison, all those courses online. I mean, I became a pro at writing why I need to be given a course for free. I spent the next, I think it was over a year, 10,000 hours learning HR. Then I convinced my auntie, who was in the HR space, to help me get an opportunity so that I could now put into practice everything I had learned. And then I got my first job in a telecommunications company as a HR manager, which is it's a mix of grace and sheer grit. Now, HR manager, and they had no HR department. So I came in and I built everything from scratch. The entire department, the entire compliance. I learned how to hire. Then I started pivoting towards HR business partner, which is where now you help founders build successful businesses using people. So it's not just HR in terms of leave and disciplinary. It's HR in terms of what value can you extract from people to be able to contribute to the business success.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 1 or 2 years until one day my boss, we got a really huge contract, and then my boss disappeared from the office for like 3 weeks. He had taken his girlfriend to Maldives. And then had taken out all the money in the company account. And in the morning when I'm ready to pay people and process payroll, we have 200 shillings. And he switched off his phone.
And then he came back after 3 weeks.
Yes. That was probably the hardest time of my life, because you're HR. People have bills to pay. They have kids. They have responsibilities. And this individual didn't seem to care. And that taught me the value of having integrity. If you are going to start a business and you're going to employ people, understand that the business money and your money are not the same. You work for your business. Your business does not work for you. And so if you're going to employ someone, ensure that you can finance their salary even when you don't get paid.
Yeah.
Right? That is the level of integrity that I found lacking, and was a very painful lesson. So I ended up leaving that place after not being paid for like 3 months. My husband was like, dude, what is the difference between you staying in the house and you're going to work? At least you're burning fuel.
Watch TV.
Like, yeah, like, dude, can you just, I know you are loyal to the end. To the end, you will fight for this company. But if the founder of the company is not willing to stick his neck out for his people, why should you?
Yeah.
I then progressively worked my way continuously, all the way up until I got to head of HR of about 8 countries. And that was a phenomenal, part of the best experience, because I got to understand how people work in different countries, what motivates people, what it takes to succeed, because I used to sit with the board members and stuff, so it was really nice. I got to see what it's like what it takes to build a business, a multi-million-dollar business, like what it takes, what you have to put in place, what you need to, what is the non-negotiable, what is the negotiable, and what it takes to build something that is that big. I think we had about 3,000 or 4,000 employees, what it takes to build something that can employ all those people, and what sacrifices it requires, and what systems you must put in place, and how do you set up your people to succeed. Then I decided there's something I'm not quite understanding, which is the business component of like the executive level business component of running a business. How do you build the right strategy to support your people? How do you build a strategy that enables you to succeed in the market, to scale? And how do you build something that allows you to develop a business that can grow beyond you, like what we were discussing before we started, like Bata or, or yeah, butter is a really good example. How have they been able to build a business that stands the test of time? So I got enrolled in a master's course in Cornell University, which is an Ivy League university. And it was fantastic because you were taught by the 1% of the world, the Elon Musks, the Google CEO. You are rubbing shoulders with people like this. They came to teach you in classes. You can imagine the CFO or the CEO of a global conglomerate coming to teach you. The mindset that they had started rubbing off on me, and it became apparent that the way they do business is very different from how we do business here in Africa. These guys look at business as something that must be profitable, something that must win in the market. They go in knowing that they're going to dominate, right? And that was a fantastic experience. So I did that, and I came back into the market, and I was overqualified
Did your master's in?
in business and HR. Yeah, both of them. Because now I wanted to understand the business side very well. And so I came back and I was overqualified. Because now I can see everything wrong with how our company is, why we are failing, the fact that our strategy is not working. I could see, because I've been around people who spend so much time building strategies that win globally, that I can tell why ours isn't working. And that started having a little bit of conflict. Because how are you coming back and telling your board of directors that you don't think their strategy is going to win in this market? Who qualifies you to make such a statement? I was right, though. I think even now they've not been able to penetrate the market the way they ought to, because their strategy was never right. And so I decided to step back, and I resigned, not knowing what I was going to do next. And somewhere along the line, I pivoted to starting to consult with small businesses. And that's where we met. You were actually the first person I consulted with as a small business. I remember sitting with you, and you're pregnant, talking to me about how you're not sure what's going to happen with your business by the time you take maternity. And that is how our journey began.
Yeah.
And so my role transitioned. I moved from being a HR business partner, I moved from being a business strategist, I became a co-founder, which is whatever it takes to help your business, first of all, survive while you're gone. Let's put that in place. And then when you come back, whatever it takes to get your business to succeed without you, let's do that. And that was the beginning of our journey, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, it was. Walk us through some of maybe like 3 detrimental and maybe simple, because I think sometimes also as founders we overcomplicate everything. So you feel like for me to get HR right, I have to do 1 billion things and pay someone $1 billion. So what are like 3 really simple things people can shift about how they're hiring, and maybe even how they're managing their people to get the best results?
How do I even get an eTeams invoice? Easy, just use Digitax. Oh, that sounds easy. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Okay, so I'm going to start with an example. Say it's cold, June, July is cold. Say you have decided that you and Baby G are going to go down to Mombasa to avoid this cold. But you're not going to be, you want to drive down because you want him to see Kenya and experience Kenya, but you don't want to be the one to drive, okay? So you go ahead and you hire a car, and then now you go about hiring a driver. And you find someone, he has a driving license, and obviously he tells you how he can drive, he shows you where he's driven. In fact, you get into his car and drive around with him, so you know for certain that he can drive. So on the day that you're supposed to be going down, you get into the car with Baby G, already, ready to go do vacation. And then you drive down, and somewhere near Mtito, as is usually the case with Kenya, the road is closed, and so you have to take a diversion. And so you take a diversion and then you end up getting lost for the next 4 hours because it turns out this guy has never driven out of Nairobi. So whose fault is that? You're in the car, you're tired, your holiday is ruined, this guy doesn't know where he's going. Whose fault is it that you guys are lost?
Mine.
Why?
Didn't assess him correctly for the job to be done.
Which is?
To drive us to Mombasa.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how would you have assessed that?
I think getting his understanding of has he driven to Mombasa before and find a way to assess if that is accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see, it was not enough that he was licensed. It was not enough that he even knew how to drive. What was the job that was here was driving us from Nairobi to Mombasa. That was the critical component. But most of us as founders, we don't think of it that way. We look at what experience do you have? What education do you have? And by the way, experience is a very interesting thing. And now I'm getting into our failings because before I can give you a solution, I need to highlight the challenge, right? So experience is an interesting thing. Experience means that I have been having a job for, say, 5 years. Experience does not equate results. Otherwise, our civil servants would be some of the most successful employees in the world, but they're not. They have, those guys, by the time they're being hired, when you look at their CVs, it's like 25 pages of experience. But how much of that experience can be distilled into tangible results? You just need to look around the country to see, right? So experience can mean that I've been showing up to work and doing the bare minimum for 15 years versus results. So one of the things that I've learned about founders in the time that I've been working with founders, even when I was in the corporate space, is our fixation on what an employee has is a limitation. An employee can go to a USIU, they can speak fantastic, they can have incredible experience, but still that might not translate to the results you need. That's number one. Number two, we also tend to hire based on biases. So I'll remind you, let me refresh you of an example. There was a time we were doing an interview. And a lady came in and she was eloquent. She was confident, looking at you in the eye. She was saying all the right things and she was dressed appropriately. This lady just looked like she was the right employee. 3 months later, the character development that she went through was exceptional.
Yeah.
Whereas the person that we ended up... the person that we ended up hiring actually on all fronts, for all intents and purposes, was not qualified. They didn't have experience in running.
The industry.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't have experience in the industry. Actually, they had no tangible experience that you could say this person is qualified. But when you looked at their CV and you had a look at their transferable skills, they had done the job to be done, just not in the formal sort of way that you had expected. I don't know whether that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is this. Part of the issue with founders is we hire based on what we feel about the person. If someone comes into a room and you're interviewing them and they're looking down the whole time and they're hunched and they may or may not have an accent, you're likely to make a judgment against them and their capabilities simply because of how they presented themselves. Versus if a person walked in smelling good, suit and tie, eloquent, looking at you when they're speaking, you are likely to assume that how they present themselves means that they're a competent employee. And that bias is one of the reasons why a lot of founders get into the fix of hiring someone, and then 1 or 2 months down the line, they realize that they made the wrong hire. It was a bad hire. And it's no longer just about it being a bad hire. There's also the element of, in Kenya particularly, because I need to make this distinction clear, this issue of hiring is a global issue. It's not unique to Kenya. But in Kenya right now, it's particularly painful because the labor law is heavily employee favoring. It favors employees far more than it favors employers. And that's part of the reason why a lot of companies are shutting down and going to other countries that favor employers more. So what does that mean? It means that if you hire a wrong person, you end up taking on legal risk, because you can't let them go even at probation stage. You can't let them go as easily as, hey, this is not working out, ni sawa tu, let's go. You have to go through a process. Even at probation level, you have to demonstrate why they're not the right person, whether you've supported them in their role to enable them to succeed. You are the one who has to prove why this person is the wrong hire. You also have to remember you've taken on a financial cost, interviewing this person, offering them their first salary, training them, and then giving them a notice period. That cost, from a time perspective and a cost perspective, is also something that is heavily punitive, particularly for small businesses. And so a bad hire is something that can cripple a business very quickly. Add to that, which is a secondary layer, another bias that founders have is your day ones. When you started your business, these guys who were with you from day one, when you had nothing, when you hadn't figured things out, when it was just all hustle, this person was with you, they stood by you. But as you're growing, you're realizing there are gaps in their capability, because now the business needs something else. And this person was a good fit when you're 10, but they're not a good fit when you're 50. And now you realize that actually what it is the business now needs is somebody who has a certain level of skills that the person that you have here does not. But now you have an emotional crisis because you want to keep them in that position because they were loyal to you, right? But that loyalty has the capability to destroy what you built. And it goes back to the point of, you have to remember the number one job that you have as a founder is to defend your business, is to protect your business. I'll give you an example. Say you opened Sage, right? If you are looking to expand elsewhere to Sage, the person you're going to hire is someone who is going to be capable of working in chaos, because you're moving to a new place, there are no systems in place. This person will be building from scratch. So you can't go hire someone who is just used to everything being set up, you see. So structurally, even from a hiring perspective, the person that you bring in has to be someone that has the skills necessary for what the business needs. And that's something that a lot of founders don't do, because you've never... And this is something a lot of founders have spoken to me about. You didn't go to school to do business. You started business as something that was a way to make money, and then it grew bigger than you. And because it grew bigger than you, now you're struggling to turn it into a business. It started as self-employment, but now you've realized that you can't keep up with customer demand, you can't keep up with the orders, you can't keep up with logistics and inventory and accounting. So now you're realizing quickly that you need to turn it into a business that does not depend on your capability anymore, but you didn't go to school for it. And as such, you start hiring off pain points. You know what, Kiare, I have come knocking. I need an accountant. I need to hire a new person. I need HR.
I'm pregnant. I need a manager.
Yes, I'm pregnant. I need a manager. You see, everything is off a pain point, because in your head, you've not distinguished that you as the founder and the business are two separate entities. You think that you and the business are one. And so you hire on behalf of the business of your pain points. When really, when you're hiring, the first thing that you ought to ask yourself is, before you even begin to hire, where is this business going? What is my strategy in the next 5 years? Where do I want this business to go? What do I want it to achieve? How do I want to win in the market? That is the first thing a founder must do before you even begin hiring. Why? Because the skills that you need to bring in are dependent on where you're going. You see? Now, if you don't know where you're going, it's about surviving, you will hire people who are there to survive. You see? And perhaps this is something that I want founders to think a little bit about. Now that you are running your business, you've done a spectacular job of running this business, hiring your first initial team, bringing in money, bringing new products, building a client base. First of all, kudos for going that far, because so many people in this world have ideas. That you've gone ahead and executed your idea means that you're already far ahead in terms of success. But it's not enough to have done all that. Now you need to be asking yourself, in the next 5 years, where do I want Beauty Square to get to? Where do I want Sage to get to? Where does this business need to be playing at? Because once you have that clear, and it's a clear formula, it's not guesswork. It is something that you must spend time deliberately crafting. You understand the market, you understand trends, you understand the future of your particular industry, and you position yourself in the best possible way to win. Once you have that written down clearly for yourself, then you begin to identify what skills are you going to need, what kind of person am I going to need to be able to get me from where I am now to where I need to go. Even systems, what kind of system will I need to get me to from where I am now to where I need to go. Even processes, your entire business, everything you need to set up in your business will be guided by where your business is going to. Yeah. So that is perhaps the first thing I would want a founder to take away from this conversation. Get your strategy right. And strategy does not mean plan. Don't plan. Strategy means how are you going to win in the market? Because you are in the business of winning.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. And making profit. Once you have that established, then now spend time distilling the outcome that the business needs to achieve into a job to be done for an individual. What do I mean by that? Say the business, you've decided, as we're sitting right here, like Yvonne, you've decided the SK is going to be the largest beauty brand in Africa, punching at the level of Sephora. Once you have determined what that looks like in terms of the outcome, whatever outcome, is it the amount of profit you're going to make? Is it the amount of market share you're going to get? Is it the amount of products you're going to offer? Are you going to have your own label products? However you decide that being the biggest in Africa looks like to you, now you need to determine if, for example, you decide it's going to mean that we are going to offer incredible products that are our own products that work for African skin. What will it take for me to have to do that? What kind of people do I need to come in to be able to help me get to that level? You will start looking at people who have speciality in skin. You have people who have an understanding of formulas in Africa, natural products, what we use. You need to think about where are we going to sort out where are we going to get those products from? What kind of people do we need to have internally to formulate them? How are we going to sell them? What channels are we going to sell them? And then once you have all that figured out, you then come back and say, okay, what kind of skill set or what kind of results must the employee who is going to get me there need to have now? You see? And actually that is not easy. It's not. Because also in Kenya, many employees are working to make a living. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're not working to make an impact. Circumstances have put them in a position where they needed to get a job. So, and this is what makes hiring so tricky. You have to go find that one employee who's not just content with getting their salary at the end of the month. You have to find that employee who is content with contributing to the success of your business. And now that moves on to, how do you identify such a person? Which I guess is, I feel like I've spoken a lot. Do you have anything to say so far?
No, keep going. Because you're on a train, yeah.
Yeah, so we've moved on to, let me just quickly recap. We moved on to the biases that we have as founders. We've moved on to the fact that you need to have a strategy and that the strategy will inform what kind of person you're going to hire. Not even what kind of person, what system you're going to have to put in place, what structures, what policies, but for the sake of this conversation, what kind of person you need to hire. Great. Now you've found a way to write that down and turn it into a JD. Not a JD that you Googled, went online and found a Google JD. What works for another company is not going to work for you because your needs in your organization are different and your needs are determined by where you want to go. So one of the things I want to just caution founders on, please don't go online and get a generic JD. Build something off where you want to go. And that requires thinking and effort and trial and error because you're not going to get it right the first time. And that's the thing that founders have to be okay with. You need to be comfortable with the hard things and you need to be uncomfortable with uncertainty. So, number one, no getting JDs offline. Don't also, if you're rehiring for that position, say for example you had an employee who was there before and they've left, before you need to hire again or before you replace that person, you need to ask yourself, are you hiring them to do what the other person was doing? Or are you hiring them to help the business go where it needs to go? Because you might find what the other person was doing was not what the business needs to get to where it needs to go to. Yeah. So great. You've spent some time, understood your strategy, spent a lot of time understanding what success looks like. And Chatty and Claude and all those guys can help you with this, thankfully. You've been able to extract your strategy and turn it into results that you want the business to achieve. Then you've been able to distill those results from company results to departmental results. Then you've been able to distill those results from departmental results to individual results, which then becomes your job to be done. How do you then go about hiring this person?
Before you move on to hiring, I think it's important to mention that this JD needs to be like driven by SMART, like specific, measurable, attainable results and time bound.
Yes. Actually, twofold. The first is it needs to have an overall objective, which is the outcome. That outcome needs to be a distillation of the company outcome. So, for example, if we're saying our company outcome is to expand to 5 countries in 5 years, that's the overall outcome of the company. Then we need to distill that departmentally. What does that need to look like? Well, it might mean that departmentally we must be able to identify branches where this business is going to function, and then we need to then develop a structure whereby we hire specific talent in different countries to enable that expansion to happen, right? So whatever outcome you have there, distill it down to the departmental outcome and then distill it down to the individual outcome. Then that will be what you've said. It will turn into a SMART objective as opposed to, and maybe this is the distinction we need to make, duties. Most JDs are duty-led. So you'll come and you'll see somebody's JD, inventory manager, take stock twice a week, ensure that products are not expired, ensure that what is sold and the sales are reconciled. Those are duties. How are you going to measure whether the person is doing that successfully or not? They can do it, but do it poorly, right? As opposed to saying, ensure that there is a 0% stock out within the first 6 months. That's measurable. Ensure that the inventory system is updated regularly 100% of the time within the first 3 months. That's measurable. Because you, as the founder, you don't have time to come and see whether the person did their job. But if you make that particular objective SMART, it means you can even put it on your calendar and know by month 3, I need to make sure that this person has updated the inventory system correctly. And if they've not, it's very easy to know. And so even your ability to measure whether they're the right fit and whether they're the right employee is easy.
And it's not subjective. I feel like you're not doing your job.
Yes, because, and the subjective is very important because as a founder, you've been doing things a certain way. Might not be the right way, but it worked for you. So because you have an idea of how you have been doing things, you assume that people should be doing things to that level too.
Yeah.
But when it's objective and it's either you achieved or did not achieve based on the numbers, it means even when you're having a performance discussion, it's objective. The person doesn't come out of there feeling like you are targeting them or you are setting them up for failure. And the other thing is, give that performance metric or that particular job to be done that is smart to the employee on day one. Set them up for success. Let them know what you're measuring them for from day one, so that it's not a surprise. And it should not be once a year is where we sit down to measure your performance. That's why I like SMART objectives. It is, this objective needs to be achieved by month 3, this one by month 4, this by month 6, this by month 12. Let it be continuous so that the employee can also take ownership of what they're meant to do. Right? Okay. So now, how do you determine that this is the right person? There's normally a formula I use, and it is ability times fit to the ratio of motivation squared equals results. And now let me break that down to you. And then hopefully you will see where founders struggle. So under ability, they are the following components: technical ability, which I think most of us already are capable of assessing. Then there is organization skills, which is, can you organize your day to be able to achieve what you need to achieve, right? Then there's problem solving, right? Because as a small business owner, you don't have a manager to solve every problem. You need to hire people who not only execute, but can solve problems as they arise. Not they wait for you. Whenever there's a problem, your phone is always blowing up, right? Because they're not able to solve any problems. So it is very important for you to hire someone who has a capability to solve problems. If you're hiring at management level, it goes a step higher. Now it moves from problem solving to critical thinking, where the person should be able to assess the whole entire picture and be able to offer solutions based on the understanding of the whole picture as opposed to just one particular element. So when it comes to hiring perhaps your first manager, this person must have the capability to critically think. But perhaps the most important is emotional intelligence. Because you're going to work in a team. How well do you play with others? How well do you respond to feedback? Criticism, how do you when you're criticized, how do you take it? Do you take it personally? And these are things that people don't consider. It's an ability to be able to take feedback constructively. You see, those are things you can measure when you're ready to hire someone. So under ability, just to reiterate, you look at technical ability, you look at organizational capability, you look at problem solving or critical thinking, depending on the level of hire you're having. The higher, the more you need to focus on critical thinking rather than problem solving. And number 4, their emotional intelligence, particularly in the role of a team. How do they play well with others, and how do they take criticism? So that's under ability. Then, out of all of that, most founders I've met only focus on technical capability. They don't focus on the rest. Under fit, this is where you have, can you do the job that needs to be done? Not in terms of, have you done the job before? No. Have you achieved the results we want you to achieve in this role? That's a distinction. Back to the conversation we were saying, we're not focusing on duties, we are focusing on results. Have you achieved the results that we want you to achieve here? Yes, great. That means you can do the job to be done. Number 2 is pace. Are you able to work at the pace we are used to here? If you're coming from a slow-paced environment and this is a fast-paced environment, you'll struggle. So pace is something that a lot of founders also don't consider. Number 3 is culture. Culture means how we do things here. So for example, maybe I came from a job where my boss used to tell me everything.
Micromanage.
Yes. And then now you're suddenly telling me that when I come here, it is my responsibility to achieve X, Y, Z, and that I should reach out to you if I need support. There's already a culture clash there. I will struggle because I'm used to sitting down and being told, okay, when you come to work, this is what I want you to do from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And now you're telling me I need to think and plan myself and monitor myself. How? Or vice versa. Maybe I'm used to working independently. No one ever checks what I do because I can deliver. And there's a guy who's always in my face now telling me, but why did you do that? Who told you? So there'll be a culture clash, and that's something that a lot of founders, again, don't consider. And the fourth one, and it's not something that, again, many founders consider, but is, what is your management style as the founder? And does it match with the employee coming in? Because maybe they like being shouted at, and you don't know how to shout. Or, better yet, maybe you shout. Maybe you're the boss who we know you're coming from a mile away, right?
Huffing and puffing.
Yes, right? So what management style do you have as the founder, and can the person you're looking to hire match that management style?
Yeah.
So back to reiterate, for fit, we are looking at, can you do the job to be done in terms of results? Are you used to the same pace of work that we have here? Do you come from the same culture as we have here? That is, are you used to doing things the way we do things here? And are you used to the same management style that I have? So that's under fit. So we said ability times fit to the ratio of motivation squared. Motivation squared is perhaps the most important metric in this entire formula. That's why it's squared. And this is the truth that a lot of founders are probably, once I say it, I think a lot of founders will be like, yeah, that's true. But it's this. Motivation squared means that someone has the internal motivation to do the job, not get the job. Remember when we began this conversation, I said a lot of employees, when they enter the world of employment, is to get the job to pay their bills. That's why you fight. Because I didn't come here to do the job. I came here to get the job. Once I have the job, that's it. Mission accomplished. You're looking for an employee who is there to do the job. Someone mwenye atajituma. Someone who is, and this is, unfortunately, an internal component. Self-drive is internal. And the other unfortunate part of this is that you will only see this once a person has come in. Because we have people who have perfected the art of interviewing.
Yeah, as we saw.
We have people who have even perfected the art of doing very well in the first month of probation. Because probation, they're watching you. Once that probation is over, we see once you get that confirmation, you see a different employee. That tells you that this person was always there to get the job, not to do the job. And if you're able to get all these three components, you have a person with ability, they are the right fit, and they are motivated to do the job, you will end up with an employee who is always consistently exceeding your expectations, and they have no excuses. That is the way to hire the right person. That is hard work. It is extremely difficult and time-consuming to go through that process. But it's better you go through it before than when you bring in the wrong person and now spend the rest of the time trying to remove that person. Additionally, that same formula can be used with your existing employees. You can...
Is it to assess if
Yes.
they should remove?
Yes, it can. You can go sit down and say, okay, so under ability, I can see you have technical ability, but you have no capability to problem solve. And literally you rate. You say, out of all this, I'm going to give it 5 points. If the employee has less than 75% of that entire formula, you have the wrong person.
Yeah.
And you see, that moves the conversation from what I think, what I feel, my personal opinions and emotions towards this person to objectivity, because that is what your business needs. Your business needs the right people who are there to do the job, to help it achieve what it needs to achieve. And that is something that founders need to sit with and embrace if they want to build businesses that are capable of scaling beyond themselves and are capable to growing into, not everybody wants a legacy business, but capable of growing into businesses that are sustainably profitable. Yes.
Wow, that was a lot. Sorry, it's okay. But this is the process that you walk, the founders that you work with through.
Yes.
And I can attest that it works. and once you understand it, it really works. And I can say the quality of hires that we've been getting, or let me just say like getting the right fit, the right person, because I usually say getting the right employee is almost like looking for a husband. Like a person can be a good person, they're not the person for you.
Yes.
And it's the same thing when it comes to employees. So we're able to get that right. And I think there's that sunken cost that founders hold on to of this person has been working with me for like, actually, to be honest, we usually know in the beginning. You're like, okay, yeah, you're great. You come talk on time. You're polite. You're nice. And, you do your work
Yes.
generally. But
Yes.
I can tell, like, you're not the person for this role.
Yes.
And you tend to hang on, especially in instances where this person is generally a nice person. Like,
Yes.
they don't rub you the wrong way.
Yes.
They don't have any discipline
Yes.
issues. But they're not the right person for that role.
They're
And
doing
I
the
think-
bare minimum, but you're okay.
Exactly. And sometimes you don't think about the other cost of what you're costing this person by allowing them to stay in a role that is not for them.
Yes.
Because how does that person grow?
Yes.
Because that's not a person you'll promote.
Yes.
You're unlikely to give them a raise because maybe
Yes.
their results are not something that is impacting the bottom line.
Yes.
And sometimes we also forget to think about that part of how am I affecting this person's future by allowing them to also sit here, and I'm also sitting here in the same mediocrity.
Yes, but you see, most people who hire, you don't realize that your job is to set up the person for success.
Yeah.
So you're setting this person up for failure because they're stuck in a role where they can never grow because you've put them in a position where it's above their capacity, right? And it's only human to want to stick by your day ones. But you're delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
And that right there is a problem. And the longer you keep the person, the harder it is to let them go. Now, you can probably find another place to place them. But because they were there from the beginning, they won't take too kindly for someone else to come and be appointed in a position that is higher than them. So even their culture, that's when now we start having conversations about toxic employees. No, it's you who put the person in that environment. You didn't want to do the kind thing of letting them go. You want to keep them there. Then you are promoting someone else above them. And you want them to continue behaving as if nothing happened. And they know for a fact that the person is coming, they're new. And you'll notice, even when you're asking them to help this new person settle in, you'll notice that there's certain behaviors that they have because they've almost developed a level of entitlement. Because you've never had an honest conversation with them to let them know what's happening. And you also have to remember, a business is meant to grow. And what it needs to grow at stage 1 is not what it will need to grow at stage 4. And that's just, unfortunately, the reality of business. If you try and carry, like one of the things that one of the founders I'm currently working with is really struggled with up until the other day was her business is scaling, but she's entering multiple stores across the country. And her day one employee is seated at a really critical department that helps fulfill the customer promise. But because the orders have increased, because the amount of clients have increased, because the value of orders have increased, she's unable to handle it. And so she's causing more friction because she's causing the business, she's dropping the ball on a lot of orders. And so the reputation of the business is beginning to suffer because she's unable to keep up with the amount of orders coming her way and the expectations from clients, because they've moved from, say, a client was coming in and ordering something for, say, 50,000. Now they're ordering something for 500,000. You don't deal with that client the same way. But she doesn't know that. She's used to the 50,000 clients. So she deals with them anyhow. She talks to them the same way, and so they're getting disgruntled, and the business is losing money. It's losing reputational gain, and it's starting to develop a bad name in the market. It took her 6 months to come to terms with this because her heart was so attached to this person. Like she kept saying, Ivy, this person was my day one when I had nothing. She used to come and bring the products from my house, and I get it. But where the business is going to, this lady can't come. And it's not anybody's fault.
It's not personal either.
It's not personal either, but neither is it her fault. It's just growth requires a different skill set. And so she's had to make the really tough decision to change up that lady in that position. And already the business has changed.
One last question, actually two, before we move into our technically segment. If you were to instill something in every founder who watched this, like if there's a way you could make one sentence, one phrase, one concept stick with them, what's that one thing you want to make sure that they take and carry with them?
Your business is not a person. Your job is to protect it. That's it.
How did motherhood change your entrepreneurship journey?
That's a good question. Well, I have been a very ambitious person all my life. But now, the ambition has morphed into a superpower because I have someone depending on me.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I didn't have. Like I was busy building my life for me. It was actually a very selfish life. We were dinks, my husband and I. We were like, we're just gonna be double income people. We fly wherever we wanna go. We just soft life, good
Please
life.
explain what dinks
Oh,
is.
double income household.
No kids.
No kids, no
Yeah.
kids. Double income, no kids household. That was always the plan. And boy, for 10 years, we've lived the life. I mean, I think the amount of reckless behavior that has been involved in our lives has been shocking. Sorry, Mom. When the baby came, first, there's something about someone coming into your life that is fully dependent on you that changes your mentality and your entire human experience. So first, motherhood brought with it purpose, because biologically speaking, your entire, first your mind, your body, everything recalibrates to meet the needs of this child. And it's subconsciously. Then you have this fire to succeed that you've never had before. Like, whereas before you wanted to succeed and you were ambitious and you had your own dreams. Now it's different. Now the option to fail disappears. Right? And you know you will do, there's no length you will not go to give your child the life you feel they deserve. So that has been a fundamental shift. But it's also softened me. I've become a lot more patient, a lot more tolerant. I was really known for quite a sharp mouth. But I can't talk to a 1-year-old with a sharp mouth anymore. So there's a certain level of patience, kindness, compassion, and understanding that I have that came through motherhood, a softness that turns out is a strength. I used to think these were all weaknesses. And I wouldn't have had it if I didn't have the baby.
Yeah. I think something that shifted for me, actually, I used to be the 10-year plan, babe. Like, I tell you what I'm doing in year 8, month 3.
Wait.
But I think one thing that made me realize is like, okay, life is that serious, but also it's to be lived in the present. So I really let go of trying to plan and control everything and just exist in that current moment. So now we're going to go into something that we call our technically segment, where I ask questions about some elements about how you technically run your business.
Okay.
So hopefully things that we can borrow from. What's one thing you must do every day for the business?
So let me also pose, I don't have a business. I'm self-employed.
Okay, true.
Yes?
It's in the inception. Let's say that.
No, I cannot scale this.
Agreed, yes.
Yes.
But for the purpose of this conversation,
Yes.
it's an income-generating activity. So
Yes.
we'll call it a
Okay,
business.
fine.
Yes.
Okay, fine. It's an income-generating activity. So what do? Every morning, I wake up and I must spend an hour learning something new. Yes.
What did you learn today or most recently?
So today I learned how to turn Claude into a co-founder.
That's a conversation that we're going to have on this podcast, actually.
Yeah?
AI, yep.
Fantastic. Yes.
What do you wish more people paid attention to?
That's a good question. In how big is that answer in terms of my particular field or just generally in the human experience?
Anything. Could be I wish more people brush their teeth.
I think In Kenya, I wish people spent more time understanding that we are a nation of people rather than tribes, races, income level. I wish we spent more time understanding the value of patriotism. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the pain we are currently dealing with is because we're not patriotic.
And we're divided.
Yes. But from a human level, I wish everybody was taught from the time they were a child to be comfortable with doing the hard things from day one.
Yeah.
Like, life is going to be hard. One of the things that we are currently dealing with, and I'm sorry, I'm going to reference you as Gen Z, with the Gen Z coming into the workforce right now, is they have an idea of what they deserve. So they are coming into the market with an entitlement of what they think they should earn, what they think they should do, what they think they deserve. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not how the world works. The world works the opposite way. You come and you prove yourself. You come and work hard and get paid peanuts. You come and put your heart and soul into a business, a project, and someone else takes credit. And you see, you're only able to bounce back from that if you're used to doing hard things. If you're not, it will keep crushing you every time. Even the protest that we got involved in, that is part of people believing they deserve a country that is fair, that it does not have corruption, that values its youth. And that is a fantastic philosophical thing to stand on. It's a fantastic philosophical belief to stand on. However, the gap from where we are now to there is huge. By the time that we have a country that is not that does not have corruption, that values its youth, that is willing to give opportunities to its youth, we are talking what? Another how many years?
Many.
Probably another 80 years.
Well, I keep vouching for AI for presidents. Maybe once we get that,
you see,
things will improve.
But before we get there, how are you going to position yourself to thrive in the existing economy? It's by getting comfortable with thriving in the hardship we have now, such that even when things get easier, because you're already used to handling the hard things. Like some of the generation I admire the best are the generation who were born in the time of the war. These guys are hardy. And you can see they're the ones who currently hold most of the wealth in the world. Because for them, they don't take excuses. They grew up in war. They grew up with nothing. And they still turned around and made something of their lives. So if each one of us could learn to embrace the hard things, I think the world would be a better place.
Yeah. What's a number that you wish that you think every founder should know off the top of their head?
I think you should know the cost of doing business.
Elaborate.
So a founder should understand what it takes to be profitable. But you can only know what it takes to be profitable if you understand the full cost of running that business. Yes. So we always jump to profitability, but I think profitability only works if you understand the cost of doing business.
And the full scope.
Yes, the full scope. Because there are a lot of little hidden costs that show up, yeah? And I find that's what really shocks founders. Like by the time you're discovering KRA required this from you, you're in shock. Sijui, there's the accountant is telling you there's this liability, you're in shock. You want to let go of an employee and you're told the cost of letting them go, you're in shock. You're always in shock. If you're in the products business, when something happens around inflation, you're in shock. Like you're always in shock because of all these little costs that you never assumed, which tells me that you don't know the full scope of what it takes to run your business. Yeah.
Okay. Last one. What's the most recent place you've invested your money as Ivy?
Right now, I've invested it in some money market funds just to see. It is part of what I'm doing in this stage of my life is diversifying as many investments as possible. So in this stage of my life, I've been learning a lot about money market funds. And it's something that actually Coach Susan is the one who guided me to that. Shout out Coach Susan. And it's been good because, money that is in my account feels too hot. So I like
It always evaporates. Always.
then there's always a need, a really urgent need that just shows out of nowhere. So I've learned how to live with the bare
Move it
minimum
out of
in my
sight.
account. Yes, out of mind, out of sight. Also, I mean, I also have moved away from M-Pesa. I'm now moving cash. So when the cash is over, Kwisha, let's go home, bro.
Tea for dinner. All right, so we're going to move into our quick fire segment as we close. So you answer in a sentence or less. What's one thing most people assume about you that's wrong?
My husband told me yesterday that I come across like I'm a slay queen.
Okay, interesting. What's your most irrational founder fear?
I'm going to strike it big in the first 1 year.
Fear?
That's a fear.
Okay, it's a good fear.
But it's a fear.
What's one rule that, let me tweak this because here's one rule everyone on your team, but one rule everyone you work with knows you take very seriously.
I don't know whether this is a role, but my ability to critically think. Yeah. And question. One of the things that I enjoy the most in any person I work with is asking the tough questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you're surprisingly bad at?
Dealing with money.
I think a lot of us are there. A purchase under $100 that has improved your life.
That is a valid thing. Some noise cancelling earphones.
All right. What is an app you couldn't run your life without?
Claude.
I'm learning how to integrate that into my business. The other day, someone showed me how I can use it to do things on my website. I was like, wow, okay. We're going to spend time talking about that. So your question, you actually have, I'm going to give you 2 questions because the last guests were a round table, so a number of them left questions. So what is your superpower and the secret sauce from your superpower that makes your business, I guess your consultancy, thrive?
My superpower is being able to walk with a founder as if their business is my own. So I'd call it the co-founder effect.
Yeah.
That is actually what I think. That's what I do best.
I
I'll
agree.
come in and I'll be your co-founder. And that comes from genuinely caring about the success of the person I'm working with and the success of their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you also have an interesting ability to always see the other side of the coin. Yes. If you were to extrapolate your life into the future, what do you think your mental, intellectual capability would look like given the way you're living now? And so the background of this question was the guest has been exploring neuroplasticity and the impact of what you consume and what we're doing to our bodies and how it's affecting our mind. So based on what you're doing to your mind, what do you think is going to happen to it in a couple of years, maybe in like 20 years?
That's actually a very good question. I think I'm moving away from being an intellectual and I'm moving into practical wisdom. So where my training is whatever knowledge I acquire must be practically useful in my life.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I had a lot of theoretical knowledge, just takes up space in my mind and makes me sound like the smartest person in the room, but really has no value in my day-to-day. So whatever knowledge I'm assimilating right now, it's to practically use. Yes, I don't know how better to explain that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and I think we'll definitely need to plan a way. We've talked about the founder events and we've talked about our one that's HR themed particularly. So we're going to make it come alive so that we can be able to help people feel the Ivy touch. Thank you for tuning into this episode. This has been Founder Diaries and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Beauty Square KE. Beauty Square was my first full-blown business and the brand that pulled me into entrepreneurship and shaped so much of what I share here. In many ways, this podcast is an ode to that journey, the lessons, the growth, and the courage to start before everything was figured out. At Beauty Square, we're passionate about helping everyone become a skin expert, offering authentic products from TikTok favorites to proven solutions for acne, dark spots, and more, with a team ready to guide you through all the right choices. Visit us at our CBD or Lavington branches for expert treatments like facials, waxing, body scrubs, and massages from our sister brand, Sage. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at beautysquare.ke and at Sage Skin, spelled SAGESKNN. And thank you for tuning in.